Ancient discoveries, haunting legends, and amazing mysteries. Where else may the Grand Canyon surprise us? From Egyptian artifacts to lost explorers and spooky ghosts to fossil tracks, the Grand Canyon is full of stories that have been told. Join us as we go deep into the Grand Canyon's core, uncovering spine-chilling truths that have intrigued the entire world. Egyptian artifacts. The Grand Canyon is one of the most beautiful and interesting places in the United States. It's 277 miles long, up to 18 miles wide and 1 mile deep. The Hopi Indians think it leads to the next world. More than 6 million people went there in 2016 because of how big and mysterious it was. But what those people probably don't know is that the Grand Canyon may have once been home to a whole underground society. Where are they now, though? What made them leave the canyon? In this episode of Stuff They Don't Want You to Know, hosts Matt Frederick, Ben Bowlin, and Noel Brown dive right into the folklore, stories, and of course the plots to find out what really happened to the Grand Canyon's lost civilization. In 1909, a supposed adventurer from the Smithsonian Institution named G.E. Kincaid found strange caves while on a trip led by the Smithsonian anthropologist named S.A. Jordan. The opening to the cave was almost impossible to get to, but Kincaid was able to get in and find something amazing. The huge caves spread out from central tunnel-like spokes on a wheel. They were full of statues, copper weapons, and even granaries full of seeds. Based on its size, it looked like 50,000 people could live there in comfort. But what was even more strange was that the objects didn't match anything that was known. The objects didn't look like they were made by Native Americans, as one might think. Instead, they had clear Egyptian or Tibetan patterns. Could it have been an entire Egyptian society lived there? How did they get there if so? The story made a big splash when it was published in the Arizona Gazette in 1909, but it wasn't believed for long. The Smithsonian had no record of either of the scientists or their finds, and it strongly denies any claims that Egyptian items have been found in either South or North America. And since then, no one has been able to find these huge holes. Was this a big lie? Maybe the Gazette made it up to sell more papers? Disappearance of newlywed couple. Glenn and Bessie Hyde vanished during their attempt to navigate the rapids of the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon, Arizona in 1928. If successful, Bessie would have become the first recorded woman to accomplish this challenging feat. Glenn Rollin Hyde, born on December 9, 1898, was a farmer from Twin Falls, Idaho, while Bessie Louise Haley, born on December 29, 1905, was a divorcee originally from Parkersburg, West Virginia. The couple first crossed paths in 1927 aboard a passenger ship en route to Los Angeles. They tied the knot on April 10, 1928, immediately after Bessie finalized a divorce from her previous husband. Glenn had some prior experience with river running, having ventured on the Salmon and Snake Rivers in Idaho alongside Cap Gulick, a seasoned river runner, in 1926. Bessie, on the other hand, was relatively new to such adventures. In October 1928, the newlyweds traveled to Green River, Utah, where Glenn constructed their own boat, a 20-foot wooden sweep scow, commonly used by river runners of the era in Idaho. Embarking on their honeymoon adventure on October 20th, 1928, the couple set out to conquer the canyons of the Green and Colorado rivers. Glenn aspired to break the speed record for traversing the Grand Canyon while making history by documenting Bessie as the first woman to achieve this remarkable feat. Their last sighting occurred on Sunday, November 18, 1928, as they sailed downstream below Hermit Rapid. Prior to this, the couple had hiked up Bright Angel Trail out of the canyon to resupply a few days earlier. While at the South Rim, they approached photographer Emery Kolb at his studio and residence on the canyon rim. Emery captured their photograph before they descended back into the canyon. Some Colorado River historians, including Otis R. Marston, suggest that Adolph G. Sutro accompanied them in the scow from Phantom Ranch to Hermit Rapid. The possibility of Sutro being the last person to see them is mentioned in the Ken Burns PBS documentary series, National Parks, America's Best Idea, and Marston's book. A search effort initiated by Glenn's father Rollin commenced even before the couple exceeded their expected arrival time in Needles, California on December 6, 1928. On December 19th, a search plane spotted their drifting scow near River Mile 237. The boat remained intact and upright, with supplies still secured. Emery and Ellsworth Kolb retrieved the camera from the boat, revealing that the final photo had been taken around River Mile 165, likely on or around November 27th. The search uncovered evidence indicating that the couple had made it as far as River Mile 226, Diamond Creek, where it's believed they set up camp. Bessie's journal mentioned the successful passage through 231 Mile Rapid. Historian Otis R. Marston presented a compelling argument suggesting that the couple likely encountered submerged rocks and was swept out of the boat near River Mile 232 during treacherous rapids. Describing the rapid, Marston emphasized that submerged pieces of granite wall have damaged, snagged or overturned more boats than any other location in the canyon. Unfortunately, no trace of the hides has ever been found. Uranium deposits. The Pinyon Plain mine seems to be preparing for uranium mining activities within a distance of fewer than 10 miles from south rim of the Grand Canyon. If the Senate fails to pass the Grand Canyon Protection Act, there is a possibility of developing hundreds of additional uranium mines on federal public lands near the Grand Canyon National Park. Time is running out for the Senate to pass the Grand Canyon Protection Act, a crucial legislation that would permanently prohibit new uranium mines on slightly over 1 million acres of federal public lands close to the Grand Canyon. The bill has already received approval twice in the House. The Havasupai tribe, along with its leaders and elders, has been engaged in long-standing battle against uranium mining. As residents deeply connected to the Grand Canyon, they are advocating for a permanent ban on uranium mining to safeguard their cultural identity, the existence of the Havasupai. Nearly 600 active mining claims have been established near the Grand Canyon National Park. If the Senate fails to take action, these claims could be converted into mines if the existing temporary mining ban is lifted or expires. Uranium mining has a troubling history of polluting land and water sources and causing illnesses in the region, including in the nearby Navajo Nation, where hundreds of abandoned uranium mines still await remediation. At the Pinyon Plain mine alone, more than 49 million gallons of groundwater contaminated with high levels of uranium and arsenic have been extracted from the mine shaft. Colorado River. According to a new report by American Rivers, the Colorado River, which stretches 277 miles through the iconic Grand Canyon, has been identified as America's most endangered waterway. The report highlights the dire situation facing the unique ecosystem and cultural heritage of the Grand Canyon due to factors such as prolonged drought, rising temperatures, and outdated river management practices. The future of the Grand Canyon hangs in the balance as the Biden administration prepares to change the way the dwindling water of the Colorado River is allocated. The report warns that further restrictions on the river flow could transform the Grand Canyon into an ecological sacrifice zone, resulting in irreparable damage to wildlife, fish stocks, and sacred sites. The annual Endangered Rivers ranking, now in its 38th year, identifies 10 waterways in the United States that are at a critical crossroads. The decisions made in the coming months will determine the long-term fate of the rivers. The ranking has played a crucial role in driving actions such as the removal of outdated dams, cleanup efforts, protective designations, and the prevention of destructive development. The 2023 list includes rivers that pass through 17 states and numerous sovereign tribal nations. These waterways provide drinking water, food, recreation, and spiritual nourishment to millions of people. However, they face threats from mining, climate breakdown, dams, industrial pollution, and outdated river management practices that have historically ignored traditional knowledge and sustainable techniques used by indigenous Americans. Despite rivers being the source of 2/3 of the country's water supply, nearly half of them are too polluted for fishing and swimming, as reported by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Many tribes and pueblos consider the Grand Canyon sacred and have acted as stewards despite the impact of dams, development, and pollution by U.S. governments dating back to the first settlers. The climate crisis has led to the prolonged drought throughout the river basin, coupled with reduced snowfall in the Rockies. Combined with chronic overuse, these factors have caused historically low water levels in the reservoirs. River managers have implemented changes to the water supplies along the river to protect the dams and infrastructure, leading to severe erosion of beaches within the canyon. This erosion has had a detrimental impact on essential habitats for native fish and wildlife, which play vital roles in food security, indigenous cultures, and the recreation industry. Although there was some relief last year due to above-average rainfall and winter snowpack, the Biden administration is expected to announce significant cuts to Colorado River water allocation, further affecting the supply and flow to the ecologically fragile canyon landscape. The Grand Canyon's mystical beauty and hidden treasures continue to draw scientists and tourists alike. As continued research stretches the boundaries of what we know, we become amazed by the terrified footprints of ancient species that show how they evolved through time. If you're also interested in stories about lost riches and old artifacts, don't miss the chance to learn more about the secrets of the Grand Canyon. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an update of our exploration videos.